What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
Okay. I had to laugh here because we had somebody comment. I don't forget who it was now, and said, "You always seem surprised when she asked you that." And I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, "What am I going to say?" Oh wait, I don't even know. I always forget that you're going to ask me that.
Okay, so we have a fun live planned, and we're going to tell you guys about it. It includes our sponsor. So we're just going to do our sponsor thing with this. So our sponsor, Two Cool T-shirt Quilts, emailed us yesterday and said, "Hey, the next time you guys do a live, I would like to have some sort of a contest, and the winner is going to get a free t-shirt pillow, which is super generous and we're really grateful." So we were trying to figure out what we could do, and you called me. I was already into bed, but I answered your call. And tell them what you thought.
So we're going to play True Crime Feud, and so Gigi's going to have a team. I'm going to have a team, and the winner. So if I win, if you choose to be on my team and I win, you tell them what you get.
So we're gonna put all the names of the team. Like if you choose my team or Fruit Loops team, we're gonna put these names in a randomizer, and whichever team wins, all the people that were on my team. Let's say I win because we know that's gonna happen. Let the smack talking begin. Everybody who was on my team has a chance to win. So at the end of the game, we will pick one person on the winning team, and you get a free little t-shirt pillow
From
Two Cool T-shirt quilts. Sorry, guys. Like number
Sorry.
3 right here. So that's going to be really fun. We're going to be in person, like together. You're going to have to come to my house, or I'm going to have to come to
Yep.
your house.
Yep.
And we're just going to have fun with it. And there are questions online, like we can't cheat, but it'll be like that game show. We don't want to say it,
Yep.
but what's the most common thing left at a crime scene or something like that. And then we will give our answers, and it's going to be really fun. So I think what did we figure out a date for that?
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Yeah. So we're going to be posting all across our platforms somewhere you can click and choose your team. That way it gives us a few days to get all these names into this app, and we do it fair.
Yep.
So that's going to be super, super fun. I'm excited. And, we were talking about trying to do something fun this year, video wise, like maybe go back to the prison cooking that we tried. And it was okay to try once, but like now we kind of know what we need to do. So if you guys have any suggestions for little segments we could do, let us know. We really kind of want to branch out other than just sitting in this chair all the time.
Yep.
So
there's a deadline for you to sign up. The deadline, and there'll be some stuff on our social media. You'll see it, but the deadline is Friday. So,
okay, yeah,
like next Friday.
Right, next Friday. We'll get all that stuff up today, and yeah, so it's going to be so fun. We're really excited, and hope you guys can join us. So I asked you, apparently we had crazy thunder overnight. Didn't hear a bit of it. I was in a corner. Yeah,
We've had warmer weather, so it's starting.
Yeah, it's been like 60s, 70s, which is good for me, but it feels tropical out there. You go out and it's humid. You feel like, it's maybe August. Anyways, my dog has PTSD from the thunder that I didn't hear overnight. He's so skittish. It's not even funny. I mean, he just knocked me down trying to get in here to be with me. But anyways, so we are going to keep going with our year-end recap. And today we're going to do Letecia Stauch. So as you guys know, she is accused in the murder of her stepson, Gannon. They're from Colorado. His body was found under a bridge in Florida. She was arrested in Myrtle Beach, not far from where we have a house. And I actually want to stop by his resting place the next time I go down, because it's right off the road from where we come into Myrtle Beach.
And we do have, if you need to listen to the backstory, we've got episodes we did that you can go check out.
Yeah. So we're going to get started. So January 27th marked 1 year since Gannon's murder. And her charges are first-degree murder after deliberation, first-degree murder of a person under 12 by someone in a position of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, tampering with physical evidence, and 7 counts of a crime of violence using a weapon. The weapons listed in the complaint include a firearm, a blunt object, and a sharp object. And also 1 count of violence causing severe bodily injury or death. And last year, there were some mental evaluations that happened, and the case was paused. So just after the first of the year in January, they found again she was mentally competent to stand trial. And in February, what?
I'm sorry, but that one video, the first one where she's flipping the light on and off,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta go. Just Google it. You can watch it, guys. It's crazy.
It's a good thing she didn't go into the acting field because it was poor performance.
Here's my deal when looking at her and Laurie. If she can act that way and not be found incompetent, Laurie must be like, I mean, it's got to be bad, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. She must be flinging poo in her cell or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
something.
So, and the funny thing too is the judge at some point this year, I came across it. He pretty much said in court, he knows she's faking.
Yeah.
I mean, he just had finally had enough of it. So in February, Letecia decided she was going to represent herself, guys. She claims to be a professional and she knows how this works.
And we were so wanting this.
Oh, I know. Well, she did one hearing and she questioned, there was a witness they had on the stand and she questioned him. It was sad.
Yeah.
So in February, when she decided she was going to represent herself, she said that this was like poker. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And she claimed
Great
there were
song.
It's a really good song, right? So she claimed there were 2 pieces of evidence that no science or expert could discredit, and it would clear her name. She said, I've come to find the word expert doesn't hold much value, and I'm the expert here. I think I could do it on my own, sir. It's a constitutional right. Also in February, her teaching license here in the state of South Carolina was suspended. Surprise, surprise. After that, she sent a letter to the judge where she was talking about representing herself. It was rambling. Her preliminary hearing was originally scheduled for March of this year, but it was moved to May at that time to give her more time to prepare and go through all these pages of evidence. There was a lot of hoopla about getting this stuff to her. It was going to have to be in a lockbox. And I think the file was 26,000 pages, but the core of the case was still over 1,800 pages, and the FBI's portion was over 1,000.
Yeah.
So in April, Letecia was suspended from the library at the jail, saying she was worried her drowsiness would interfere with the early morning hours of her library slot. Then she said she didn't need the librarian to take it off her list, so they did. Later on in April, there was the final hearing in her divorce. They had actually been divorced last year, but the final one was in April. She didn't attend.
So in May, Letecia was appointed new counsel after deciding representing herself was a bad idea. At a court hearing in May, she tried to fire the public defenders again. She didn't want to go through all that stuff.
No,
right? You ain't gonna want to go through all them documents.
Interfere with her sleep schedule.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We used to sleep in the library, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
Whenever the teacher said library field trip, we were like, nap time.
Exactly. Because it's so quiet in there.
It is super quiet.
Yeah. She had her preliminary hearing in September. And let's go through what we learned. Letecia didn't want to be in the courtroom. She appeared remotely. And this has been an issue the whole time.
Yep.
The judge got frustrated and said her refusing to be in the courtroom could be grounds to just advance this to trial because she essentially waived her preliminary hearing, but ultimately decided to let it go on. She then left. It's been a circus.
It has. And I mean, she's totally created it in trying to act mentally ill. It's just put so many delays on this case. Just nonstop. I think a lot of it's just avoiding having to come to this stuff or having these dates in stone. I think as soon as something gets close, she acts wackadoodle and gets a delay.
Yeah. My issue with the whole thing is you murdered a 11-year-old.
Brutally
You
murdered
brutally
that kid.
murdered. You shot him, you hit him over the head with something, and you stabbed him 18 times.
Right, and not only that, but, I mean, drove around with his body in the car from Colorado to Florida and maybe had the body in the car when you're talking to a reporter about him
Yeah.
being missing.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
out to lunch that
So come to court, sit down, and hush.
Yeah, exactly.
Hush it. So, in looking at the case, Gannon was reported missing on January 27th, 2020, and it was then moved to a homicide investigation on February 3rd. If you remember, she said he was missing. He didn't make it to his friend's house,
Right.
is what she said. So the first witness was Jason Yoder. He's a sergeant of Major Crimes Unit in Santa Rosa Sheriff's Office. He received a call from bridge workers who discovered the suitcase with Gannon's body in it. The workers had emptied the suitcase before authorities got there. They found the body wrapped in blankets and recognized it to be a small child. The medical team came and removed the body. They checked local and statewide missing persons records and found nothing. Yoder was notified of a flyer of a missing child from Colorado, which was Gannon. His body was severely decomposed and in a fetal position. They could see injuries when they removed the blankets. He had a fractured skull, a gunshot wound to the jaw, and sharp injuries to chest and the back, and cuts on his arms and legs. And we know that those were defensive wounds.
Bless his heart. They
Yeah.
found projectiles in the pillows and blankets that were in the suitcase with his body. And with the visual exam of his body, they pretty much thought it was Gannon based on the photo in the missing child poster. And the gap in his teeth is kind of how they did a preliminary identification there. And they estimated that he had been dead for about a month. So on cross exam, the defense asked how deep the defensive wounds were and also wanted to know if they were fatal. And he had a total of 18 stab wounds, which included the defensive wounds. And Yoder said that they weren't fader. Oh gosh, they weren't. It would not be an episode if I didn't just my
There you
tongue
go.
didn't go on a little mini vacation. But Yoder says it's not a fatal injury, but it was a contributing factor to his death. They also recovered a bullet from Gannon's body and 2 more from inside the pillow. They concluded that the gunshot to the jaw was the fatal injury. And prosecution asked if the skull fractures could have been caused by dragging the suitcase with his body going over the bridge. And Yoder said they just did not say. The medical examiner didn't mention that. They didn't see any muzzle burns on his skin, so it's assumed that when she shot him, she was more than 18 inches away. And on redirect, the prosecution asked if they could tell whether the gunshot to the jaw or the blow to the head was the cause of death. They could not, but they do know that that gunshot to the jaw would have been fatal.
Yeah.
So the next witness was a prosecution witness, Kevin Clark. He's with the 4th Judicial District Attorney Office. And he's an expert on GPS and cell records, which came in a big way in this case, tracking her movements. So the day after Gannon was reported missing in the car, a Volkswagen Taiwan is pinged going to the airport to pick up Gannon's dad, Al, and going back home. If you guys remember, Al was out of town. He was a member of the National Guard, and he was on duty. So he pretty quickly was eliminated as a potential suspect in this.
Yep.
So once the car was parked at Colorado Springs Airport, Letecia is seen going into Avis rental cars. That same morning, she had searched for cheap rental cars and rented a Kia Rio for $36 a day.
If you remember, her Google searches were crazy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember we did a whole episode on that, I think.
We did. Yeah, we did several deep dives on this one.
So she picks up Al in the Rio and drives home, which means she leaves her other car there at the airport. That same day, between 7 and 7:27 p.m., she picks the Volkswagen up from the airport.
Excuse me.
Oh. The car goes from the airport to the Falcon area. She stops in a parking lot for 30 minutes. Law enforcement later searched the area. Cell phone and car data verify this. She texts her daughter Harley and searches the web. Her phone is then put in airplane mode. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's about all you can
If
say.
if you don't know this by now, guys, you can be tracked with your phone.
Not
Like
only that, but newer cars, I mean, they're able to go in and see also where that car has been on a lot of models. I don't even know why people try to do stuff these days.
yeah, like it's
You watch
tracking you.
forensic files like me, you will know that sometimes 30 years later, your booty's getting caught.
Yeah. Don't take your iPad, don't take your phone. Like, come on. I mean, I'm glad they do because they get caught for murder, but
Yeah.
sheesh. So the car data shows she stops at a parking lot for 10 minutes. The car data tracks her all over a neighborhood for 15 minutes. Detectives believe she was looking for a place to put his body. The phone is in airplane mode for 2 hours. When it reconnects, she is at a Hilton Inn, and also her phone connects to a Starbucks Wi Fi for an hour. She talks to her daughter Harley while at Starbucks. They don't say what the messages were during this time. She leaves and ends up at Harley's workplace at 11 p.m. Harley was not at work, but she drives to her workplace in her Jetta to pick up Letecia. They get home at 1:23 a.m. Some of her family flies in and rents a Nissan Altima. The next day, it shows her the Altima at the park where she met the reporter and talked to him. She goes back to Palmer Lake at 4 p.m., but it seems she is driving by.
You know, one thing that I've learned on forensic files is oftentimes criminals will drive past the crime scene later to see what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
on one episode I watched last night, he drove by in the same car that was seen at the time of the murder, and that's how they popped him.
Yeah. Yep. It's almost like killers, even if the cops are there, and you see that a lot, even on like Blue Bloods. People come back to the scene and they'll look and say, check the people that are standing around the caution tape.
It's true. And sometimes these people, one guy on one episode, he was always there when the media was there and was giving these little interviews, and come to find out he was the dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you remember, this is where they found the board with Gannon's DNA on it. You want to pick up here?
Yeah, and this was a big shock to people who have followed this case. Letecia's daughter Harley was with her on the road trip to Florida when Gannon's body was dumped. Gannon had been dead at this point for 5 to 6 days, and I still, for the life of me, don't know how she did not smell something.
Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't been implicated in anything, but even if you try to mask the smell of a decomposing human body, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I just can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like she's cooperated from what I've read with the prosecution.
Yeah. Because she's their witness, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So on February 4th, 2020, that's when Letecia and Harley arrive in Pensacola and they check into the Candlewood Suites. The reservation was made on February 3rd for a February 4th check-in. And the map they were showing is the place where his body was dumped at 4:15 a.m. So you can tell it wasn't very far from that hotel they stayed at where they found his body. So when they left Florida, they went to South Carolina.
Hey, y'all.
I know somebody that actually knows his mom, and she said, obviously, it's been very, very difficult. Yeah. So the next person to testify in that hearing was witness Sergeant Patrick Yunkin. He's a patrol supervisor, and he was third on the scene when Gannon was reported missing back in Colorado. And on the body cam, you can hear Letecia say something about the carpet in the basement. And remember, she had told investigators that he had dumped over a candle and the wax got on the floor. And she did this whole guilt trip with him, saying that we could get evicted. And I mean, just, trying to scare the little guy.
Well, wasn't there some audio on that or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Or a video or something.
He recorded it. That's right. And you hear Gannon upset.
Yeah.
Thinking, I mean, clearly you could tell he was upset that he may be the reason, according to Letecia, they get evicted. What trash, man. Give me
Yeah.
10 minutes with her.
Yeah.
So on the stand, the sergeant said he didn't see any evidence of violence in Gannon's room. He didn't see any blood. But when he came back 2 days later, there was a red dry liquid substance from the basement to the garage. And at the time, he didn't know what it was. So the next witness was Lieutenant John Sarkisian. He ran command for the search for Gannon, and he was told that there was data from the car showing Letecia in Douglas County, and that's a really remote area, and he couldn't figure out why she was there. So next, they show photos of the plywood board that had Gannon's DNA on it, and it was found under some tree branches. They showed a photo with the board that had a dark blood stain. The board was 2 to 2.5 feet long, and the presumptive test was positive for blood, and the official DNA test was that it was Gannon's blood. So on cross-exam, Leticia's lawyer asked if it was moved before the photo was taken, and the officer said that he put it right back down as soon as he saw that red blood stain. You want to pick up here?
Yeah. So witness Sergeant Hubble from El Paso County Sheriff's Office, they admitted photos of Gannon in his bed. The blanket in his bed and the pillowcase are the ones found with his body. One photo shows Gannon asleep at 8:15 a.m. He doesn't seem to have any wounds and is believed to be alive in this picture. Body cam footage from when the cops were in the house did not show the blanket or pillow on the bed. On February 3rd, when the investigation moved to a homicide, they brought in the Metro Crime Lab and used Blue Star, which illuminates blood. And we all know that stuff lights up like a Christmas tree.
It does.
A photo showing blood spatter is shown. There was an area where a stain went through the carpet down to the subflooring. If you remember when the police were first in the house, it was a missing person case.
Right. And they weren't super proactive about it because with missing person cases, there's a lot that has to go in. There's, you know what I'm saying? Before it's considered, I don't know. It's just crazy to me that you have a kid that little who is missing and, or so she says, and then they don't do anything for a day or two.
Yeah. Yep. So the carpet had been cleaned, but the subflooring had not been. Hello, it's not going to clean the subflooring.
Yeah.
They showed a photo of the mattress, and a close-up on the corner showed a large blood stain that was later confirmed to be Gannon's. They found blood in pretty much every room from Gannon's to the garage. The blood was solid on illumination and was a full trail like she drug him through the house. Nike shoes taken show blood on the bottom. DNA showed Leticia's DNA inside the shoe and Gannon's blood on the bottom. They recovered a 9mm Smith & Wesson gun from the master bedroom. Her DNA was on the back strap and trigger. On cross-exam, the defense says there were also 2 males with DNA on there. One was Al, which is Gannon's dad. The defense asked if there was any worry about contaminating the crime scene. And Hubble says he touched the blood stain on the carpet with an ungloved hand. He noticed this in his report in case any DNA came back to him.
Yeah. And if you guys remember, the initial story was he went to a friend's house, never shown up. Then she changed her story and said that there was a man that they kind of knew that came in, and she said she was raped, and although it said she was texting while she was supposedly being raped, it changed 3 or 4 times, as it usually does in cases like this. So the next witness was FBI Special Agent Andrew Cohen. He testified that he found no evidence that Al, Gannon's dad, was involved in the death in any capacity. He was out of town 2 days before the murder and came back the day after he was reported missing. Gannon's little sister was at school, and Leticia's daughter, Harley, was at work. It was only Letecia and Gannon in the home that morning, and they obviously think that he was killed in his bedroom. He said that Letecia lied to law enforcement, and there were no reports of any kind of abuse before the murders, which, if you think about it, a lot of the cases we cover, there's not. It's a one-time huge event. I mean, you do have the occasional ones where DSS was involved, but it's really weird that for the most part, when these women murder children, whether they're their kids or stepkids, it seems to be out of the blue.
Yep.
Not many warning signs or anything. So they didn't call Harley to testify in this, although she was on the witness list. Letecia waived her right to a preliminary hearing in the escape attempt. If you remember, when she was being extradited from South Carolina back to Colorado, she tried to escape. She actually like attacked the officer.
Yeah, I think the officer had to go to the ER, I think.
Yep, and they put her in a jail along the way.
Yep.
So ultimately, she pled not guilty to Gannon's murder. Earlier this month, it was announced she will undergo another mental health evaluation, and her lawyers say she suffers from dissociative disorder, and they're concerned this played a role in Gannon's murder. The judge said the state is way behind on these evaluations, like 350 people behind.
Oh,
and
wow.
And not only that, but they're short-staffed. So there's a motions hearing for January 13 coming up in just a couple of weeks, but that may be delayed if this evaluation isn't complete. So here we go again. We're going to go through this cycle. Yeah. So, but here's the best thing I heard all year about this case. For future hearings, Letecia can apply to appear virtually if she applies 7 days in advance for hearings. Otherwise, he will order an extraction team to go into her cell and forcibly bring her into the courtroom. Let's just hope that they do that, because
they film it and we can see it.
Let's hope. So anyways, that's obviously not everything, but that's the most important stuff. This trial is supposed to happen next year. Who knows if it will. I mean, this case is just delay after delay.
Also, if you remember the video that the neighbor had?
Oh, yeah.
It showed Gannon getting in the truck. Remember, that was a whole ordeal.
Right. And then they weren't sure if he came back, but I think it was verified he came back. He was killed in that bedroom.
Yep.
It's so eerie to see. I mean, just in hindsight, to see him get in that car and know what's going to happen a few hours later. It's hard for me to watch videos like that. Like, it's hard for me to look at that picture of JJ in his red PJs the morning, that he's the last morning he's alive. Just things like that really bother me.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's all we have for today. I have to have a deep cleaning on my teeth tomorrow morning, so we will see if we will get one in tomorrow. I've heard those can make you really sore, so we'll see if I can talk. I might be on here drooling.
Hey, I can pressure wash it for you.
I mean, that's essentially what they do. I just wanted something to,
I just hose you down.
Fresh start to the new year with me teethies. So anyways, all right. Well, we're going to be posting the links to sign up for the True Crime Feud later, and we're super excited. So we will see you guys soon.